Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about the possibility of Trump causing the creation of a European army. Due to the administration's proclaimed positions regarding Ukraine, dynamics in Europe are rapidly shifting. Zelensky has called for the creation of a European army. The idea of a joint European military force has been around a while, and over time, it led to an organization that filled that role: NATO. I know, NATO isn't really a European army. It's North Atlantic. Subtract the US and what do you have? A European army plus Canada, a country closely tied to the UK. While people who have fully bought into Trump's rhetoric about defense spending will see this as Europe standing on its own, it's more likely to be the United States being told to find another table to sit at. If Europe sees the need to create an additional force outside of NATO, that's kind of the beginning of the end of U.S. dominance. Contrary to claims of Trump making the U.S. respected again, this administration seems to have triggered the question of whether or not the U.S. is still needed in Europe. Respected, potentially irrelevant, tomato, I guess. That might sound like hyperbole, but the Polish foreign minister said, quote, "The credibility of the United States depends on how this war ends. Not just the Trump administration, the United States itself." A lot of people seem to be succumbing to normalcy bias, the belief that the way things are is the way they will be. Let's just look at the reality. If Europe built an army of its own, initially it would be in addition to NATO. Over time, NATO would seem pointless. Why should Europe be at risk of being dragged into wars caused by erratic American foreign policy? They would build up their own industrial base for defense. Within a generation, they wouldn't need anything from the U.S. The U.S. would seem like dead weight. But we would still be friends, right? I'll say the line. Countries don't have friends. They have interests. They'd be more friendly than, say, Russia or China. But now you have another near-peer capable military vying for dominance. More major powers meddling in the affairs of other countries. Again, where is Trump's conspiracy-minded base? Just a few years ago, with the creation of the EU, isn't this actually what y'all said was going to happen? And how the U.S. was going to be driven to irrelevance? The moves the Trump administration is making are definitely transformative when it comes to U.S. foreign policy. But they aren't moves that make or keep the U.S. strong. It's important to understand that normalcy bias is something that pervades most people's thinking. U.S. economic power hinges on it being a superpower. If one goes, the other goes with it. I want to be clear that this isn't a defense of American foreign policy as it is. It's that the shifts being made seem to imply an even greater reliance on military force and less on soft power, while simultaneously cutting both. The math doesn't math here. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.